You gave up a TV job to start a podcast in your basement. If that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does.
It was Championship Sunday here in Indianapolis. What's the mindset then coming in as a defending champion?
I want to win. No, I want to win.
The young lady over my shoulder, Caitlin Clark.
Not the best looking guy. And I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, Matt Randazzo was really good looking.
What has this last month, 2 months, 3 months been like for you? It's an important fan base for the Fighting Illini, is it not?
It is.
He turned 69 years young last week. You look good, Coach.
Oh, try it. Thank you.
Welcome to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Thursday in the Quad Cities. Thursday, July 9th. Thank you guys for joining us wherever you are and however you're taking part in the podcast and the show. We definitely do appreciate it. It's been a interesting morning here at the Randazzo household. We had the smoke detectors just go off a little bit ago, which is always fun. We had the system crash a few minutes ago, which is always fun. But hey, it's 10 o'clock. We're up on the air. On the air, off the air, if that makes any sense, and ready for another big, fun show for you coming up right here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. If you're watching us live on YouTube, we appreciate that. Thank you for doing that. If you have subscribed, thank you. If you have not subscribed, please do so ASAP. It helps us out a ton, so we appreciate that as well. And then, of course, tell a friend or two or 10 about what we're doing each and every day at 10 a.m. right here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. We're also live on X. X has been very, very good to us. So if you're taking part in the show via that platform, thank you for that. Stay interactive. Do so on all the social media platforms. Also on YouTube, we have a great chat going on right now. So make sure you hop in the chat and let us know your thoughts, opinions, critiques, if you will. Do those things right now on YouTube. We're also streaming on the WHO Plus app. We appreciate our viewers in Central Iowa. Have had a lot of fun doing the show on that platform as well. We're with you live until 11 o'clock. If you like what you see and you want to keep following us, head over to YouTube and keep watching there as well. But the first hour of the show on the WHO streaming app, and we love that as well. And also, I tell everyone every single day, you don't have to look at me. There is a podcast form of the show. You can check us out. You can listen to the show every day on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, Podbean, wherever you get your podcasts. Put in Off the Air with Matt Randazzo and listen to the show each and every day as well. It is a Thursday right here in the Quad Cities. A lot to get to. It's been a fun week so far. We started the week off on Monday with Pat Anger and Andrew Lehman from the John Deere Classic, Craig DeVries also on the show as well, Austin Chesney on that show as well. So if you missed that show, go check it out. Tuesday, we had Tom Kakert on the show. That was a bunch of fun. And then also the Davenport North baseball team. We had head coach Colin Karstens and standout Bryce Pauly as they won the MAC. So fun show on Tuesday. Yesterday, busy once again as well. Kyle Huseman on the show yesterday and several others. So check out yesterday's show. And also Mark Manuel, who was a blast to be on, a Quad City legend. Great feedback from that show. We appreciate that as well. Our FCA story of the week yesterday as well. As for today's show, yesterday we had Kyle on to talk about the Iowa women's basketball program. They had an open practice for the media on Tuesday. Yesterday on Wednesday, the men's basketball team had an open practice. A lot of media there, a lot of buzz, a lot of hype, a lot of good things according to social media and X and Facebook and those types of things. But how good was that 45 minutes, maybe do an hour of practice? What does it mean? How much stock can we take into it? Two people that were there and very busy. Madison Hricik from the Cedar Rapids Gazette and also Mark Woodley from KWWL, both in attendance. They'll join us here in a matter of moments to talk all about what was a busy Wednesday at Carver Hawkeye Arena. Also coming up on the show, high school sports, very important to me. Covered it for nearly 25 years here in the Quad Cities. Continue to like to think I cover it here on the show. Davenport North being on a few days ago, their baseball program, a good example of that. But when we go to cover things around the area, players are important, coaches are important, athletic directors extremely important to what we can do in the media and tell the stories of the athletes and those types of things. One of them that did it at an extremely high level for a long time over at Pleasant Valley was D'Anne Kroemer. There for 13 years, doing it for 36. She had her last event at Pleasant Valley High School last Tuesday. D'Anne's going to join us on the show to talk about what it's like being retired. And I'll throw those quotes up for D'Anne, retired. And what's next and the memories, the impacts. Also being a woman in sports and breaking through and doing a lot of things for the first time from the female perspective of things. So D'Anne Kroemer coming up later in the show as well. We're also going to try to talk a little bit about the Illini and their expectations for football because of the crash in the system. We're going to see if we can get that to actually come up here and happen. But we'll figure that out as the show goes on. So a busy show once again. Thank you guys so much for watching. We do appreciate it. Make sure you check out the shows in the past as well. And of course, we have one more show tomorrow and a full week of shows. Everyone give me a hard time about not doing a full week of shows. We are doing a full week of shows this week. It's the summertime and we're rocking and rolling through it. We mentioned Iowa practicing yesterday, all eyes on Carver Hawkeye Arena and what happened there. And two people that were there and experienced it all have a great insight of what's going on with Iowa basketball right now. So joining us now to talk about an eventful day yesterday at Carver Hawkeye Arena is Madison Hricik from the Cedar Rapids Gazette and Mark Woodley, some guy who you do TV in at KWWL. Is that a thing still?
That's still a thing. You know, you're really good, by the way, at calling me like late at night after a 16-hour day. It's like, hey, can you do something at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning? I think you're 3 for 3 on that one. So
well,
it's lovely to be here.
I'm curious on why you keep saying yes. I probably would stop doing it if you told me no once, but you're all reliable. Mark, you're over reliable.
That's all it's going to take is one time. I just have to tell you no one time and
don't
it
do that.
ends.
Don't ever do that.
All right.
Don't ever do that. Guys,
don't plant the idea.
Please, no, don't. It was a busy day in Iowa City. I want to start with Mark real quick because I don't remember this has become a thing where the women's basketball program has done it now twice. They got one more to go. Men's basketball program did it yesterday. They're going to do it again later this summer. The accessibility, we're dinosaurs. Madison's not nearly as she's a young pup compared to us dinosaurs. I don't remember the access being the way it is right now. Am I crazy? And it's nice as media to get a glimpse during the summer, isn't it?
It's a little bit wild. I mean, we got a few opportunities in the past. It's not like it didn't have any, but it's definitely more open than it was before. And the thing that surprised me about yesterday is we got an email in the morning. We were supposed to go to practice, I think, at 11 o'clock, and we had 11 to 11:30 to shoot practice, to observe practice, or whatever. We got an email in the morning saying they may end early, so we're going to let you in at 10:45. They actually went till still almost 11:30 before, but I don't think the old regime would have cared that we would have gotten 10, 15 minutes less. They would just said, deal with it. But these guys actually, when they found out they were going to end maybe a little bit early, they let us in early, which, I really do like the access that Ben McCollum and this team has given us. And it's a refreshing change, let's say.
Absolutely. Madison, what do you go in looking for? I guess we'll start there before we get into the X's and O's and what we saw and people and stars and all those kind of things. What was your focus, I guess, maybe going in?
Well, walking into yesterday's practice, I think the biggest focus was, let's see what Andrew McKeever looks like and how he moves. Let's see what the big center that Iowa went and got can do. I was really interested in seeing him. I was really interested in seeing how agile Tyreek Coleman was going to be. People talked a lot about his agility and how shifty he can be as a guard. And then I just wanted to see the two freshmen, Jaden Kuhn and Ethan Harris. I just wanted to see what they could do, and how if they are adapting, if they're still learning, if they look like they're still putting the pieces together while they were scrimmaging or while they were running drills. And it really was a focus on those four newcomers. And I think some of it is because of the fact that it just made sense that the 10 returners were going to look pretty good going into this practice. I wasn't necessarily thinking anything was going to be out of the ordinary. What was nice was seeing Peyton McCollum get to play a little bit, since we barely saw any of him last year before his injury. So it was nice to see somebody we hadn't really seen play at all get a little bit of a glimpse of him too. But I really was going in trying to see what those four newcomers looked like, because we hadn't seen them outside of film yet.
Mark, I guess both of you, but Mark as well. Andrew McKeever is as advertised. He's all of 7'3". Your thoughts, Mark?
His size is as big as advertised. There's no doubt about it. I mean, when we were talking to Tate Sage about him, and everybody just talking about his hands, how, his iPhone looks like one of those tiny, like an iPod mini in his hands. He's a huge human. Tate Sage was saying, though, he's starting to get into the flow of things. And that's kind of the thing when you say about a guy when he's not quite into the flow yet. And you can see that. And Andrew McKeever says he wants to be more of a passing big. I think the Hawkeye fans would probably like to see more of a scoring big right now. But a lot of the offense, it seems like they run through him, but he's not looking to score right now. He's not quite in the flow, but he's got 4 months. He's only been with these guys a few weeks right now. But he is a huge human being. He's pretty much the only player when I'm filming an interview, I'm doing this, I need to go to the chiropractor once we're done. I would have been there right now if somebody didn't call me and say, hey, you got to talk to me at 8 o'clock in the morning. But
hey, my wife works at Palmer down here. You make the trip down, I'll make sure you get a free adjustment at any chiropractic clinic you have here in the Quad Cities. I'll take care of you.
Oh, I see. Now I'm not going to say no to you anymore.
See, there you go. I know you're.
But no, he is maybe the biggest human I have ever covered in 25 years.
Yeah, he looked the part picture-wise. Madison, before we got going, and you used a great term when it came to describing what you saw yesterday. Can you talk about that? Because I think it'll make Iowa fans will understand it, if that makes any sense. But go ahead.
Yeah, so I have thrown around the phrase concerningly good for July, especially for July. I was pretty impressed with what I saw overall. And I think one thing that stood out that made it look really good was the fact that I was talking to Tate Sage about it. He told me, basically the week after they got back from the Elite Eight run, they were scrimmaging again. They've been scrimmaging, whether it's on their own or in open gyms or in an actual practice setting, since the end of this season. And that's so rare in college sports these days. Like, there are teams that had nobody at the start of the year because everybody hit the portal. And so it showed up. It showed up very clearly. You could see the connectivity. You could see the on-court chemistry and the flow that was there. There were some bumps and some bunnies that happened, and I think some of that is just kind of you're going around. It was a long practice. I mean, McCollum's voice was pretty hoarse by the time we got there. So that he joked that he already did quite a bit of yelling and screaming. But I think that there was a good amount of positivity to be shared for Iowa fans. And I think that this is a team that recognizes what they did in the postseason, but also recognizes what they did in the regular season and how they don't want ninth place to exist again. Because the Elite Eight run was fun, but the reality was that they finished ninth in the Big Ten regular season standings. They did not like that. They made that very, very clear. So I said concerningly good because it was just like, oh my goodness, if this is where they're starting, I am very interested to see where they could end up if we're in early July watching them play pretty cohesive inter-squad scrimmage basketball right now.
Mark, you're a pretty straight shooter, and you've done this for several years. And I guess maybe, I don't want to say the skeptic, but some would say like it's a July practice open to the media. You can't take too much out of it. But like Madison said, like the reviews that I've got, not just from Madison, but if you go to social media, it wasn't like fans were in there. I think the media knows what's good and what's bad sometimes. You've seen bad, you've seen good. Your thoughts from yesterday? I know it's just a glance.
I have seen some really bad practices from a lot of teams during the summer, and this was outstanding. But you're right. You can't put too much stock into seeing a team for 45 minutes in a practice situation in the middle of the summer. But this team looks incredibly athletic. Tate Sage could be as good as anybody this year from what I saw yesterday, from what we saw at the end of last year. And the thing about Tate Sage, he's an incredibly good interview, by the way. But he still carries that chip on his shoulder. He said he was at home talking to his dad the other day, and I asked him, like nobody expected anything out of you. You had 0 Power 4 offers coming into college. You only got one because Ben McCollum went to the University of Iowa, and he just carried your offer over from Drake. Nobody expected him to be much of a contributor last year. Then by the end of the year, he's scoring 19 points in an NCAA tournament game. And I asked him if he could still carry that chip on his shoulder. And he said, absolutely. When I was talking to my dad, the last thing he said before I left was, keep proving him wrong. That kid, he's got the right attitude, and he already looks really good. So Tate Sage is going to be great. I think Cam Maniow looked really good yesterday, and he's a guy I think that needs to be really good this year. The issue that I see with this team right now is you lost to Bennett Sturts. Who is going to be your Bennett Sturts next year? And those are big shoes to fill.
Yeah. And I think, Madison, I'll ask you with that, I talked to Tate Sage on the show after the season, and he mentioned, he's like, I'm like, what do you want to see? What can fans expect from you your sophomore year? Like, what haven't you gotten out of the bag yet? And he's like, I'm used to having the ball in my hand. I'm almost a point guard. He's used to facilitating and doing the things that, I don't mean he's Bennett Sturts, but that Bennett kind of did. Can you see that from watching yesterday? Is that the guy that might have the ball in his hands a lot? Because him and Cale Combs, Bennett and Cale Combs had the ball a ton last year. Bennett more than Cale, obviously. Is that what you kind of see from Tate? Can he be that facilitator, dominant ball guard, if that makes any sense?
I think he could, but what I think where he stands out is he, along with Isaiah Howard, I've noticed with Isaiah Howard a lot too, is the two of them do a really good job with their off-ball movement so that when they do have opportunities to have the ball in their hand, they've found ways to make it count. We saw that especially in the NCAA tournament with Sage. And I think that's where he's started to really shine, where the point guard situation for Iowa is going to be so important. And this was, I guess, the still one question of the 45 minutes we got, I want to see more of. But we noticed last year that Bennett had the ball so much, it almost felt like there were times where the rest of the team on the court was waiting for Sturts to do something for them to react to that. Whereas this year they don't have him. They have to read off each other and play off each other. So there's going to be, in theory, there should be a lot more passing. There should be a lot more off-ball movement. And I think that's where we could see maybe some more offensive facilitating from Sage, is because the point guard won't have the ball for 25 out of the 30 seconds in a shot clock. It might go down to 18, it might go down to 15. It just because of the fact that they're an athletic team and they need to be able to move the ball and create other scoring options. When you had somebody that was averaging 20 points a game who's now in the NBA, you got to fill that hole somehow. And right now that looks like it's going to be something where it's split amongst, and it's going to be generating a lot more of an evenly spread offense. In theory, we obviously have to wait for them to play a full opponent for us to see how much that'll actually work. But that seems to be the trend that they're going towards, and it seemed to work and create some nice moments for Sage and Cam Mannion throughout that practice yesterday.
Madison Hricik and Mark Woodley joining us right now on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Mark, the intensity practice. I think that's one thing Ben was famous for last year. Unfortunately, I think it was this show that Cooper Koch shared the fact that he puked after one of his first practices because it was that intense. Was the intensity still there? Was it more? Were you more used to it because it wasn't a new thing like it was last year? Talk about and Maddie mentioned, I think Ben was almost losing his voice at the end. I think she said, was the intensity what we expect now with Iowa basketball?
Absolutely. Usually when we end up going to these things, we see guys shooting free throws for the last 20 minutes. These guys were straight up scrimmaging for like the last 30 minutes we were there, and they were scrimmaging hard. I mean, Ben McCollum knows what he's doing. Let's put it that way, Dazzo. I mean, Ben is a guy who got doubted quite a bit coming out of Northwest Missouri State. He's like, okay, you're one of the best Division II coaches in the year. Is that going to translate to D1? Yes, it's 1 year at Drake. It's 1 year at Drake's great. And he brings the funny thing is he keeps bringing the same guys. He brought the same guys to Iowa. It's like, oh, you guys aren't going to compete next year. And sure, they finished, as Maddie mentioned, 9th in the Big Ten, but they had that amazing Elite Eight run with half the team from Drake a year ago. And that's mostly because Ben McCollum has turned these guys, kind of into warriors, and it's because of that intensity that he seems to have every day.
Maddie, you mentioned wanting to keep an eye on the 4 newcomers. We've kind of talked about Andrew McKeever. I guess we'll go with Tariq Coleman. You talked about Shifty. I saw pictures. I know they're pictures, so people quit yelling at me. But I saw athleticism. I saw a video that had some pretty impressive athleticism as well. Your thoughts on what you saw from Tariq Coleman and how he may fit into all of this?
I think he's good. I think he's got a lot of potential. And I think that's something that McCollum did a really good job with the 2 portal acquisitions, is that he found players that have a lot of potential in his system. How quickly he fits into that system and finds his place there, that's up to the coaching staff and what they do and what they foresee with Coleman, and also what Coleman does. I think he could fit into this system very well. I think you could see him starting to make adjustments during the scrimmage portion. I think you could see the fact that he reads the court really nicely. But I also do know that he made a couple mistakes during the scrimmage. I mean, which is completely normal, but it's one of those where you could see he's still putting the pieces together, kind of like McKeever is. And one thing about McKeever I feel like we should absolutely mention, he didn't become almost 7 feet tall until like COVID is what he was telling us. Like he grew about, I think it was about 9 inches over the pandemic, and is basically still kind of learning how to be a 7 foot tall human being. Yeah. Which is a crazy concept too.
Weird.
It's crazy, but it's you can tell that they're still putting some of the pieces together, but the athleticism is certainly there. The ability to read is certainly there. The ability to change direction, change motion, change how the play is working is certainly there. I think it's putting all of those pieces together at the speed and at the physicality that this coaching staff wants.
Mark, you and I are old enough to remember when freshmen coming in were what everybody wants to see. And I'm not saying they don't want to see them now, but with the transfer portal, it's the transfer, what they look like first, because they're probably going to be more impactful. And then, oh yeah, there's freshmen. It used to be a big deal when a freshman came on campus. What did you see from Ethan Harris, from Jaden Kuhn? I know you're running around shooting video and the things you have to do, but your thoughts on how they fit. It looked like, from all accounts, it sounds like they fit when it comes to the University of Iowa and play basketball at the next level.
Yeah, and Maddie's going to be way more insightful than I am on this. You talked about, a lot of my focus is on oh, there's all these new guys. I got to get video of guys I haven't shot before. And so I'm missing a lot of the things that she's seeing out there. But I didn't see a ton from Jaden Kuhn, but, Ethan Harris, he's got great size. He looks athletic. He's a guy who can, guard inside. He can guard on the perimeter. So I think Ethan Harris should be a guy that everybody should be pretty excited about. But again, on Jaden, I only can go from what I saw in high school. He's going to be a good player, but I didn't see a whole lot yesterday. That's on me. That's not on him.
Yeah, both of them are 4 stars, Maddie. Your thoughts on what Iowa may have and the 2 freshmen they have coming in?
I like both of them. I think they both have a lot of really good qualities. I think they fit statuistically within Iowa's team. I think Harris, I wouldn't be surprised if he adds a few more pounds of muscle here within the next year. But I think Jaden Kuhn physically looks the stature of an Iowa basketball player. I think Ethan Harris physically looks the stature of an Iowa player. Harris is not going to be hard to find on the court, not necessarily just because he's got bright red hair. I knew he had red hair, but I was not prepared for how fiery red it was. But also just the fact that he moves so seamlessly, particularly defensively. That stood out to me very quickly. His defense and his understanding of how to guard certain positions was pretty clear. Do I think that there's still room for improvement? Absolutely. I think he's got a lot of potential. I think where the 5'10", maybe even 15 pounds of muscle could come in would add that physicality and that physical stature that makes him work better in a Big Ten system. I think he's a 4-star for a reason. I think where it's going to be interesting to see him play and develop is how getting used to the physicality and just the brute force that Big Ten play requires, where he'll fit in at that point. I thought Jaden Kuhn had a couple really nice looks. I thought he has a really good release. But again, we're so used to seeing these 10 returners, and a lot of the focus at the beginning of the year is finding out where these newcomers weave into those 10 returners. But I will say this, I think all 4 of these new players have the ability to fit and be, in their own ways, game changers or have game-changing moments for Iowa throughout this year. It's a matter of when and how. Do I think that all 4 of them will be magical, wonderful, and provide all things great for Iowa basketball on the season opener? No. Do I think we can see highlights of them and then see the progress throughout this first year? Absolutely. And I think that's the benefit, is we're getting a taste, we're getting a sample size, and we'll get another sample size next week. And then it'll grow from there. I'm interested to see how there were a couple times you could see McCollum pull McKeever aside and give him a couple of corrections or adjustments to make and stuff like that. I'm interested to see, okay, how many of those are we seeing some improvement from the 45 minutes we saw last time from the scrimmage? If they scrimmage again, are we seeing those changes being made? Things like that.
It's funny how he's stockpiled so many 6'6" to 6'8" guys that kind of fit the mold of the Cooper Koches and Tate Sages and Harris and Trey Thompson. And he's just got a lot of, I don't know if you say wings or small forward or whatever you want to do now, excuse me, when it comes to college basketball, but he's a lot of the same skill set when it comes to those guys as well. Okay, I know it's 45 minutes into practice, so it's July 9th, something like that, whatever it is today, 10th, I don't know. I should know, I do a show, but I'm going to go back and forth with some rapid fire questions, and caveat being it's July, I get it, but the most impactful newcomer for Iowa next season will be who? We'll start with Maddie. We'll go ladies first.
I'm going to go McKeever just because that size is going to be so important for Iowa. Once he figures out how to use it and adjust to that style, I think he could be a really big impact player.
Mark, your thoughts?
Definitely Andrew McKeever. I don't know how big of a threat he's going to be scoring, but that size, especially on the defensive end, the players talking about him setting screens because he is a wide body. He's going, he needs to get into the flow of things, but they need a guy like this, to be able to compete with the size of teams like Illinois. Matt Painter grows these guys in the lab. It's like every year he's got 2 guys that look like Ivan Drago. By the way, Dolph Lundgren, one of the greatest American athletes of all time, or actors. He's not, he might have been an athlete too, but I know he's from Sweden, but he's been naturalized, guys.
Yes, I get it. Who of the 10 newcomers or returning guys, who will break through And what I mean by that is it seemed like Fran always did a good job of like an under the radar guy that just kind of burst on the scene and gave you something you didn't expect. So of the 10 returners, Mark, we'll start with you. Give me somebody that might break through, that might surprise, that maybe you didn't expect.
I think Cooper Koch is going to have a really good year. Obviously, we didn't see anything from him yesterday because he wasn't on the floor, but I think Cooper Koch is going to be a guy who's going to make a real difference for this team next year.
I like it. A breakthrough guy from the returning players of the 10 that are coming back.
Well, Mark just stole my answer. I was going to say it was Cooper. I was really impressed with the strides he made.
All right, you stole my first one.
It worked. We'll even it out.
There you go.
But I did really like what I saw from him in the NCAA tournament. I loved seeing his confidence take off towards the end of the year. I think McCollum said this at the end of the Illinois game in the Elite Eight, and it's kind of stuck with me. But he said a lot of this team is going to change. The players might not change, but the identity is going to change because of the fact that they don't have Bennett Sturts. And Bennett Sturts wasn't everything, but he was a huge part of this team. And I'm interested to see how Cooper Koch takes over that. He's dinged up. It wasn't necessarily it's not anything of concern that he didn't practice yesterday. I'm sure we'll probably see him next week. But he's somebody that I've had my eye on as, okay, how quickly are you going to take what you did in the tournament and translate that back into the regular season next year?
Yeah, it seemed like he just, once he got his confidence and that shot started going down, he was really good down the stretch. Maddie, an X factor. If I said to you at the end of the year, blank was the X factor for Iowa basketball this year, doesn't mean he was the best player, doesn't mean he was leading scorer, doesn't mean he was, but this guy's the X factor for Iowa basketball. Who would that be here in July?
I think this is where Mark and I might have a different answer. I'm going to go Cam Manyow with this one because of the vocal leadership that we saw from him yesterday and from talking with him, how much he's put an emphasis on being a vocal leader on the court, off the court, and helping kind of reinforce this standard that Iowa wants to have. They want this Elite Eight run that they had last year not to be a one-off. They want this to be the minimum moving forward, which is an insane goal to have. But also with this team, they proved it last year. Anything is possible with this team when they click at the right time. So I think Cam Manyow is going to be somebody that is going to be fun to keep an eye on. He's going to have a little bit more of a power forward type role, not having to worry about being a true center when it's not his true position, and also being wildly undersized in the Big Ten as a 5. So he's somebody that I've got my eye on as somebody who can maybe be the morale driver for this team in a really positive manner.
Mark, give me that X factor that we go back from July and we say, wow, Mark nailed it. This guy was the X factor.
I'm just excited because this is where we do differ. And I have to give 2 players just because we don't even know who's going to be the man this year. But I think it's Tyreek Coleman or Cale Combs. Whoever can come in and fill what is a massive void being left by Bennett Sturts. I mean, that's their job right now is to run this team. And if one of them can step up and be that guy, I mean, nobody's going to beat Bennett Sturts. We know that. But Tyreek Coleman, he looked incredibly athletic yesterday. Cale Combs is, he's a calm veteran. They probably have to play a little slower with Cale in there. But if one of those guys can step up and fill that role next year, they are going to be the X factor for this team.
Last one. Iowa's best player at the end of the season will be blank.
Ooh, this one's interesting. Okay.
I'm going straight up Tate Sage. What we saw out of him yesterday, what we saw out of him at the end of the year compared to the beginning of the year. He's just a guy that just seems to be getting better and better. And if he has that kind of meteoric rise sophomore year like he did in his freshman year, Tate Sage is easily the best player on this team next year.
Maddie, agree or disagree?
I might have to agree, honestly. I think I started realizing the potential Sage had after the Cy-Hawk game in Hilton in December. He played really well in that game, and I think that was one of the first times I was like, he's got something. And then we saw it later on in the season a lot more. He's somebody with a good head on his shoulders. He's somebody that really trusts the process. And frankly, he's got the confidence and that chip on his shoulder, like Mark was saying. And I think that's going to be huge for this team, whether he leads in points per game or if he's just like a tried and true X factor of he might not always lead in points, but he's just going to be that guy. I don't know yet, but I do think he's somebody that is going to be as advertised.
Love it. Before I let you both go, your thoughts just after the energy around the program. And Mark, I'll start with you. We've seen the highs, we've seen the lows, we've seen some really good Iowa basketball programs and teams. We've seen some things that you knew wasn't ready and not there yet. Energy wise, and I'm not even talking about on the court, but like being in Iowa City and the vibe around the program, is it different than it's been in the past right now? Mark, we'll start with you.
Well, it's definitely different in the past. It feels like I remember the beginning of the Fran years, and even those years, people were excited. I mean, whenever you have a coaching change, things weren't going well with the previous regime. That's like instant energy into a team when you make a change, and that was there during Fran's years. Just the opener, like when we saw Ben McCollum walking in to Carver Hawkeye Arena, all the students around him, that was a great introduction. And all of a sudden, the energy's just built from there. And now you're coming off an Elite Eight, something Iowa hadn't done in nearly 4 decades. The energy is massive right now in Iowa City compared to, the past couple of decades.
Madison, I know there was excitement in March. Is it continued here into July? Is that vibe still around, not just with the program and the players, but I think the fan base as well?
Yeah, I think so. And I think one thing that is making this interesting is that it's an excitement, but it's also a sense of, for lack of a better word, prove it. I think a lot of fans are really, really happy and they're really proud of what this Elite Eight team last year did. They want to know if they can actually double down and do it again. Make it to the second weekend of the tournament, make it to try and see if they can make a Final Four, a national championship game. They've seen the potential. And frankly, a lot of Iowa fans will tell you, it looked like there for a while before those last 5 minutes of that Elite Eight game that Iowa could have been going to Indianapolis. And I think they're starting to get a taste of it. They're starting to get a taste of what this team could be and what this program could become. And so I think there's a healthy level of optimism. There's also a healthy level of, all right, go and do it again. Let's make sure last year wasn't a one-off. And I think the players recognize that and they've taken that to heart. And frankly, I think that's what makes it fun, because if a fan base is excited and they want to see you do it again and the players recognize we got to go do it again, there's a collective level of motivation between the program and the fans that just makes basketball season look like something that's going to be a really fun time this year. Well
said. Remind us, it's next week. What day do you get to go in? Do you know? Do you remember?
Looking at my calendar over
here. It's next Wednesday again, I believe.
Next Wednesday?
Yes,
wonderful.
It's next Wednesday.
So
I was looking
Wednesday,
at my calendar to make sure I have it right.
Next Wednesday, be ready for social media, because there'll be videos and pictures and all of those kind of things. And then football season, Maddie, is right around the corner. Media Day coming up August 14th, I think it is, for Iowa Football Media Day. Mark, before we let you go, you just got back from Japan. Tell us something in Japanese. Can you say
Konnichiwa.
something? Say it again.
Arigato. I went to Japan knowing 2 words. I came back from Japan knowing 2 words.
What were they?
Konnichiwa, arigato.
What is that?
Hello, thank you.
All right. I love it. Well, that's how we'll end this. Goodbye. And thank you. Guys, I appreciate doing this. Again, make sure you check it out. Everything Maddie does. And of course, Mark as well up at KWWL. Guys, we'll talk soon. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
The 2 of the best when it comes to covering Iowa athletics. And there was an excitement yesterday when it came to Iowa basketball. And I think that's different. I mean, I really do. I don't know if 4 years ago or 3 years ago, 2 years ago for that matter, people would have been that invested when it came to an open practice for the media. A lot of talk on social media. There is a vibe and excitement, and now an expectation with Iowa basketball. We'll see how that continues the rest of the way. We got more to get to. Coming up after the break, D'Anne Kroemer, Pleasant Valley Athletic Director, retired last week. We're going to have her on talking about her great run at Pleasant Valley, her 36 years overall, and breaking through and maybe being a woman and doing things in athletics that hadn't been done before, and maybe the trail that she blazed for others. We'll talk about all that with D'Anne next right here on OTA. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with.
Hey, Quad City parents, tired of the same old weekend routine? Well, listen up.
Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Thursday in the Quad Cities. It is a busy time in the state of Iowa. There's a postseason starting for baseball and softball. Things always busy when it comes to high school sports, and people see coaches and players, and they deserve a ton of credit. Some of the unsung heroes that we don't talk enough about are the athletic directors that put things together, that deal with the coaches, the players, the parents, the media like myself. And one person who's had to deal with me for a long time that no longer has to deal with Matt Randazzo is D'Anne Kroemer, joining us right now on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. D'Anne, thank you for doing this. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's a strange feeling not to be at PVHS right now, working on postseason baseball and softball. It's strange, but life is good.
I bet. So D'Anne had her last event as an athletic director last Tuesday at Pleasant Valley. 36 years of being an athletic director, doing these kind of things. I guess first and foremost, what was that day like? Take me back to Tuesday. Was it different? Was it weird? Did you know what was going on? Did you try to forget about it? Take me through last Tuesday.
It was surreal. I had, lower level baseball, softball at 10 o'clock in the morning, followed by office work, and then a varsity baseball doubleheader against Dubuque Wallard at 5 o'clock at night. So you don't have a lot of opportunity to think about this is it. And I also wanted to make sure that Chris Deem, who followed me, had what he needed to start day one on July 1. And so it's kind of weird, that transition with administrative tracks, that you're ending in the middle of a sports season, so to speak. So it was odd.
Was it what the end of the night? Take me to the end of the night. Was it different? Would you turn it off the lights, or was there a different feeling as you went home for the last time from Pleasant Valley High School?
Well, the end of the night was interesting because at baseball, softball, I'm tooling around up cart and I hear this whistle to tell me to come over to where the officials are meeting, and it was Don Umlin and Kevin and Sergio, and Don wasn't supposed to be on the game, but he worked his magic to want to be there. We were special, and Sergio came over from Illinois just to say congratulations. It was a super special night.
Yeah, they you know what, that Don
Three
Umlin,
guys that I spent time with.
Yeah, they're good people. I don't like saying that too much publicly because I got to keep my reputation. No, they're really good people. So awesome to see and awesome to do. Take me through the decision, because obviously you're what, 35, 36 years old? You're not a day past 37. Take me through the process and why was this the time? Why was this the right time for you to retire, if you will, and step aside?
It's funny because I use the word retire lightly. I can't do nothing, so to speak. But, when the job has become 365, 24 hours a day, because it's important to the people who are actively involved in the world of high school sports. And you get to a point where you go, okay, 4:30 in the morning, bus cancellation. You just wake up one day and you go, this is a job for somebody else. It's fun. You love it. But at some point, you want to have a life as well, and to be able to travel and to play golf and to have some parameters on what a day looks like. And so it got to that point where, I'm knocking on 60, and I thought, why not? I have met the rule of 88 in Iowa, which is the state retirement limit or age or condition. And so I thought, why not? Let's see what else is out there and let me control my time.
I love it. D'Anne Kroemer joining us right now and Off Day with Matt Randazzo. Pleasant Valley, I want to start there because 13 years there as a Spartan. I don't think there's been more success recently in a high school, maybe in the state. I don't have numbers. So people listening to this in Des Moines, don't text me or email me with like this school or that school, but obviously a ton of success for the Spartans. What is it about that place? Obviously coaches are important, players are important, community. What is it about Pleasant Valley that has it doing such good things right now and has been for the last decade plus?
I really believe it's the coaching staff, it's the commitment of administration, it's the Board of Education. It's really that community feel that success is important, and it's success in everything within the community: athletics, activities, fine arts. And the resources to back that, the commitment from families, the coaching staff, unbelievably hard. They work together. They trust each other. That wouldn't happen. The great level of success wouldn't happen if the coaching staff didn't work very closely together. Sometimes not always agreeing with each other, but at the end of the day, it's what's best for the student athlete. And that is truly evident by the success that continues year in and year out. It's not just riding the roller coaster of we've got this one great class. We have amazingly talented young men and women.
Well said.
And I keep saying we. We.
You're still once a Spartan, always a Spartan. You ain't going anywhere. D'Anne Kroemer joining us right now and Off Day with Matt Randazzo. Success on the fields, and that's important and fun and cherished. There's been success off the fields as well. Obviously in the classroom, super important, but buildings, different turfs. Spartan Stadium looks a lot different than it did. The scoreboard there. Is there things like that you are kind of proud of the last 13 years that have been accomplished at Pleasant Valley, not because of you, but while you've been there?
Well, the interesting thing about a school district that is growing and with rapid growth, your monies have to go to academic facilities. So we have added countless additions to elementary, middle school, high school. I think one of the things I'm most prideful of is the secondary gym, the indoor track at PVHS. I think that has been an amazing added resource to our students, to our athletes, the addition on the weight room. And of course, Spartan Stadium is amazingly beautiful. The Jumbotron has just added another X factor. And I think with that, there is still a lot of things that are on the horizon for the next generation of Spartans. But it's always nice to have that little chip on your shoulder. There are schools that have newer, more complete facilities, but there's always something to be said for you work hard and it pays off regardless of whatever you have.
Absolutely. Can we talk about the MAC conference in general? I know Pleasant Valley is something you've put a lot of effort and work in, but I've always looked at you as an advocate for not just Pleasant Valley, and maybe some schools don't agree with this. They might not love the Spartans when they beat them, but the MAC in general, and then the state of Iowa. Can you talk about that? Because I know, yes, Pleasant Valley is super important and probably number one, but you're an advocate and have been an advocate for the MAC conference, an important role in what they've done over the years, correct?
Well, I think being in Eastern Iowa, I think sometimes the state collectively loses sight of what great things are over here. And I call it the East Coast. We're East Coasters. And so I think you have to be a strong voice for all of the great athletic programs that are over here on the East Coast. And when there's success, regardless of whether it's PV, Central DeWitt, Clinton, Muscatine, Davenport Public, Bettendorf, Assumption, we've got to be North Scott. We've got to be very proud of that, and we've got to be loud. We've got to be mindful of, hey, this is what the East Coast has to offer. It's not always just about Central Iowa and the metro area. There are great things over here and great opportunities for student athletes.
We talked about the student athletes and we've talked about yourself. We mentioned the coaches, but I think that's one thing that's not surprising. When you have success in coaching and you have sustainability in coaching, I think if that makes any sense, you don't look over to Pleasant Valley and say like, oh, I mean, obviously Steve Hillman stepped down recently, but that's after 18 years or whatever it may be. And I don't want to start naming all of them because I'm going to forget some of them, but can you talk to your coaches? Because that's where it all, in my opinion, the foundation starts probably with them and their staffs. It makes your job easier to have pretty good coaches, doesn't it?
It makes my job very easy. It's a mutual trust. You recognize how hard they work and the development they have in place and that sustainability. It's a spoken language, whether it's Steve Hillman, Rusty Van Wessing, Jennifer Getz, Kenny Wheeler, Jane Wheeler, Eric Belby, Mike Nedelkoff, Randy Brockage. I could go through the whole gamut, but they recruit our own. The little kid camps and the youth are spectacular. Those are some of the funnest nights ever. Those kids are so excited to grow up to be big Spartans. Yeah. And it's part of why such tremendous success, because we're getting our arms around our little kiddos. And at every venture, elementary, middle, junior, high, we want them to grow up and want to be Spartans. And our coaches work so hard to incorporate all that elementary, junior high, middle school fun.
Absolutely.
D'Anne, and it's a spoken common language.
I love it. Is there I don't want to ask for favorites because I don't want to say, is this championship better than that championship or this player? I hate it when when I ask favorite players, I always can equate it to asking for favorite kids. When you got 4 kids, people ask me your favorite, which is Chase, in my opinion, over here in the Randazzo house. Hopefully nobody's watching. No, I'm teasing. But do you have favorite moments, favorite memories that stick out? I don't want you to like this was more important than that, but are there moments that stand out above the others?
Well, it's funny. You can look back at state championships and there are things that are so clear. Like I can see Reagan Pagliano making 2 clutch free throws for PV to beat Johnston for our first ever girls basketball state championship. And the last team to ever beat Johnston in girls basketball. Wow. I think about boys soccer, winning their first ever state championship and then to go back to back. Baseball again against Johnston. State powerhouse. We weren't favored in that game, and all the bats exploded. The football going to the dome right after COVID and having that process, and girls golf this last season. I mean, just here in May, setting a state all-time best. So it's all of those cross country, track and field. You can just close your eyes and you can see moments of greatness. And that's why you're in the business. And so I don't know if I would say one over the other, but in all of those state championships, you can name names. And because they are so clear in terms of, just the excitement and kids digging deep and coaches figuring out how to get it done, creativity lineups and what they say at halftime. those are the cool things about being an athletic director, because you learn so much from those moments.
No, absolutely. D'Anne, let's go back 36-ish years or something like that. If I would have told you that you'd be retiring from Pleasant Valley after the run you had, what would you have told me back then if I told you that 36 years ago?
Not a chance, Matt. My whole world, I was going to coach golf. I was going to be at the collegiate level and coach golf and work in college world. And no, I never thought that, looking back 36 years, this is where I would have landed.
What has this meant for, I mean, not has this, but you've done an amazing job in a industry that was more about men for a long time. Obviously, you've broken through. Have you seen it evolve? Have you seen it change? Is it changing quick enough? I think we had you on when the show first started, a kind of about women in sports, but you have been an impactful person when it comes to those kind of things. What would you say when it comes to young D'Anne Kroemer, when it comes to getting in a men's world, quote unquote, men's world and doing the things you've done?
And it still is a men's world, but the door's open. And the door's getting wider and wider for women and girls to walk through. It's perseverance. It's, at the end of the day, I will always say you got to outwork people. And that's part of it. Earn respect by outworking people, making good, strong, solid decisions, not being afraid to, make those decisions when you have to. Sometimes those decisions turn out to be great ones, and other times, you have to do some reflecting and go, boy, I could have done that differently. You have to have thick skin.
No, absolutely.
And at this age, it's getting thicker and leathier.
D'Anne Kroemer joining us on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. D'Anne, what's changed the most? It's probably a tough question, but over the years, what's changed the most? Let's start with, and not to be negative, but what's changed the most that maybe you don't love when it comes to high school sports, or just in general? What's changed the most when it comes to high school sports and the way we do things?
I just think the evolution of the cell phone is, quite frankly, Matt, I remember, having my first original, this is funny because I'm dating myself, bag phone, that you had in your car for just an emergency. So I think the evolution of that immediacy and that cell phone has allowed people to forget how to problem solve. When I started in this business, the scoreboard didn't work. Okay, you got out a flip chart and a stopwatch, and you just figured it out, and you just went on about play. Or, the officials kept clock on their watch, and how many people even have a wristwatch anymore? So I think it's the lack of wanting to be the problem solver instead of calling up the chain of command and wanting somebody else to make the decision. I think those are the things that, are challenges.
Absolutely. What's the same? What's something that, and I get all the time, kids are different. Kids are different these days. And I'll tell people, but just because I interact with them all the time, they're really not that different. We've probably changed them a little bit with what you mentioned, technology. By the way, we had a bag phone. We called it our car phone, and it was cool because it had a Hawkeye leather bag. We had the Tiger Hawk on it, so I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. Yes,
I had the Hawkeye leather bag too. It was the greatest thing ever. I thought it was just cool as all get out.
We are so old, D'Anne. But what's stayed the same? Because I don't think kids really. We've maybe changed them because of the way society is a little bit, but I can go back to a standout from this season, and I can go get a Chase and Randall or a Liz Watkins, and I go down the line, and they're really the same. What's the same about high school sports that's always been the same?
I think it's kids are kids. I think kids want to have a great experience. I think kids want to be part of a team. I think they want the fun that goes along with being part of a team. Yeah, you play to win. I will never minimize that because you play to win. But yet there's a lot of fun things that go on with being a part of a team. And I think kids love that and embrace that. And that's why you participate.
what worries you about high school sports? And I can tell you right now, for me, my big thing that I've recently been telling people that I don't know if I'm right or I'm wrong, but pro sports are pro sports. They're the same. I feel like college sports have become pro sports because people are getting paid and the transfer portal, and there's a whole different show for that. But I feel like almost high school sports have now become more like college sports. And then the high school sports are now like 5th through 8th grade. And I don't know if I like that. I don't like it. I don't think I love it. But what would be your concerns about high school sports, or not about the sports, but about the world of high school athletics?
It is the trickle-down effect, Matt. It's exactly like you mentioned. Loyalty to school is lacking. The transfer portal is alive and well. The NLI, name, image, and likeness is an opportunity for high school sports as well. So that's trickled down. I think the 8th graders being able to participate in high school sports is disappointing. I recognize there are schools that have number issues, great, but I think it's becoming a business. And, high school sports and junior high school is supposed to be an extension of the classroom. What life lessons are you learning? Well, now it's again, the sideline conduct, that the fan base, it's all professional, college, high school, now even trickling down into the junior high, the middle level. So it's a domino effect. And I'm not sure we are in a position yet to figure out how to minimize those effects.
No, I completely agree. It's weird when you go to social media, and that's something that's changed everything as well. And I'm not saying for the bad. I mean, social media is a fantastic thing. There's things I don't love about it. And one day when I'm like you and I retire, I'm getting off of all social media, and I'm just going to enjoy like a month of just being away from things because I think I live on it. But you go there and you see a kid that's announcing that they're transferring from school A to school B in high school, and they got a graphic made, and that's college. That's not even college. 5 years ago, that wasn't even commonplace in college. So I don't love that. My favorite stories of covering teams, and there's too many of them, are the ones that you look at that team and you're like, man, I bet you in 4th grade they were all playing something together. I bet you in like 2nd grade they all picked up a basketball or a softball or whatever it may be together. And that's not the way maybe it is as much anymore when it comes to the high school athletics. And that's disappointing in a way. There's still team camaraderie and all of that, but winning has become a very big thing. It's not a bad thing, but it's an important thing these days.
It's unfortunate because I think you're right, Matt, the win at all cost. And I think it goes really back to the Pleasant Valley philosophy is we've got to recruit our own kids. We've got to get our arms around our elementary kids, our preschool kids, and get them in the PV system from day one. And that way they want to be a part. And the hard part is you can only have 5 people on the court. Mm-hmm. You can only have four athletes on a relay. And so, six golfers. So it's hard sometimes for students and parents to recognize I'm not one of the 5, I'm not one of the 6, not the man or the woman, and is the grass going to be greener? Instead of what being a part of a team is and how it can be so special, because that's life.
Yeah, no, well said. D'Anne Kroemer joining us on Off Day with Matt Randazzo. Before I let you go, what's next? Like, I know you golfed yesterday. I know you love golf. I'm going to recruit you to golf in my dad's golf outing next year. We do a fantastic golf outing over here. I think Rusty's been in it several times. So I'm going to work on that for you next year. But what's next? Obviously, you want to enjoy and travel and do different things. I know you. I think I've gotten to know you over the years that I don't think you're going to be sitting around watching Wheel of Fortune at 6:30 every night and going to bed at 7. What's next for D'Anne Kroemer?
Matt, I'm not sure. I'm going to take a couple months. I want to stay in the world of education, whether I go back to coaching. I've thought about the USGA golf official track. I'm not sure. I'm not ready to be done working. I have too much drive to sit around and stare at the 4 walls, so to speak. But yet I also want to be able to control my time. And so I'm not really sure. Looking for opportunity and just take some time to, enjoy a little bit of life and a little bit of the things that I really enjoy doing.
I love it. I love it. Okay, my dumb questions before I let you go for everybody I have on here. Stupid dumb questions. If you could have dinner with anybody in the entire world, who would it be and why?
Well, I don't know if you can see behind me. I have my wall of John Deere sign flags, and
I noticed.
and just a ton of golf. I think the history of golf has been something I've enjoyed. I would probably I would go with Jack Nicklaus, Tom Watson, Arnold Palmer, had he have not passed, Nancy Lopez, Julie Inkster, and Dottie Pepper, and just sit there at a table and just talk about the evolution of golf and how it's evolved and where it is today. And I just think that group of people obviously shows my age, but that would be an amazing conversation to have.
I love how you took who would you like to have dinner with and you made yourself a Last Supper. I mean, you have an entire group of people that I like that. I like that. Are you superstitious? People in sports are super superstitious.
I am very superstitious.
What's your craziest superstition? Like, what's the weirdest couple things you have to do? Is it golf? Is it just life in general?
Well, golf specifically, I always have to mark with a quarter. It has to be an old quarter. It has to be a quarter that is under 1970. Always have to mark with the head up. I only play with earth tone colored tees. I mean, there are, it's funny when you talk to golfers that there are some of those things that, are mindful of. But it is sometimes shirts, socks, like postseason, I have to wear the same outfit. If the Spartans are winning, then, you try to be same postseason. Sometimes, Matt, this is a funny one because, of course, I'm female. It's fingernail polish color. And the girls would notice, about what color the polish is for postseason. So it's kind of funny stuff. But it's talking points, it's connections with kids.
That's awesome. Last one. Favorite things. Favorite food. If you can go to dinner, go anywhere, what's the favorite food, favorite place to go eat, that kind of thing?
Oh, cheese. Any kind of cheese. I'm a cheesehead.
I love it. Favorite trip you've ever taken? Favorite vacation?
St. Martin.
Okay. I love it. D'Anne, this has been a ton of fun. Thank you for everything you've done for Pleasant Valley and athletes, and not just Pleasant Valley, but we go through Davenport Central, Iowa City High up to now. Thank you for putting up with the media. In this business, like, we can only do what coaches and athletic directors let us do. And I'm constantly bugging you with, hey, I want to do this show. I want to do that show. I want this interview and that interview. And you've always been extremely gracious with that. So thank you. I appreciate it. I will take you in. I will take you up on a round of golf someday too. You can school me on the golf course one of these days coming up soon. How's that sound? My treat.
That is the deal. Now we're going to have a few cold beverages.
Of course. And a lot of quarters under 1970. A lot of quarters under 1970. Deal?
That's it.
I love it.
And before I part, Matt, I can't thank you and all of the media and really all of the officials in the Quad Cities, because without Quad City media, with the change in that climate, our students and all the students in the Western Illinois, Eastern Iowa area wouldn't be showcased. So thank you to you and what you do and all of your partners in crime, so to speak. For showcasing all of these students in Eastern Iowa and Western Illinois. Kudos to you guys.
D'Anne, I appreciate you saying that.
Cheers to that. And can I say my favorite naughty word on camera?
Oh, yes. Go ahead, because I know what it is.
Well, it was when you and Corey were together, I coined the term high school dipshittery.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I remember hearing that and going, that's my favorite. I use it with my kids these days. And it's okay because it's an elegant term of the use of the word, right? It makes it elegant.
It's for the fun things that kids do that are kind of on the edge.
Yes.
So to speak.
I love it, D'Anne. Thank you so much for doing this. We'll catch up soon. Thank you.
Absolutely. See you, Matt.
All right. That is D'Anne Kroemer here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. One of the best in the business when it came to doing what she did, and excited to see what she does next because she's got way too much energy. If you didn't realize, she's got way too much energy to not do something, and she'll kick my butt in golf one of these days here real soon. We got a lot more to get to. You're watching OTA. It's a Thursday here in the Quad Cities. We'll be right back. For over 65 years, Linquist Ford has proudly served the Quad Cities, and they're just getting started. Looking for a new ride? Check out a healthy mix of new and quality pre-owned vehicles ready for you. Need service? Skip the waiting room. With free pickup and delivery and mobile service, they come to you. No delays, no hassle. From routine maintenance to a full-service collision repair shop, it's fast, friendly, reliable, and always transparent. Linquist Ford, serving the Quad Cities since 1959. Experience the difference today.
Hey, I'm the Crawford guy.
Ooh, do you guys always speak at the same time?
Sorry, guys. I'll go first. You know, if you need help with your heating or air conditioning,
or electrical,
or plumbing, Crawford Company can solve your problem.
But what about your problem?
What problem?
Do you not hear yourselves? Take it from me, the Crawford lady.
And me, the Crawford guy.
Crawford is the comfort company.
Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Thursday in the Quad Cities. Thursday, July 9th, middle of the summer, past the 4th of July. Football season will be here before you know it. We want to thank our guests so far that has joined us. Madison Hricik from the Cedar Rapids Gazette, Mark Woodley, talking Iowa basketball, and then a fun conversation with D'Anne Kroemer. D'Anne has done it at a high level for a long time, so we appreciate her stopping by and sharing some memories of a fantastic career, and looking forward, I should say, to seeing what's next on her plate and her agenda as well. We talked Iowa basketball. I want to talk a little Illinois football. Last night, I was able to be on a really fun show, a fun podcast. You guys here see Ked Prince and Mike Hagley on the show all the time, part of the Illini Guys. They do a fantastic job covering Illinois athletics, and they had me on last night, a little twofold. Yes, we talk a lot of Illinois athletics here on the show, but I'm also the pregame host for Iowa football. Yes, I'm an Iowa fan, so wanted to get my perspective on expectations for Illinois football. And it comes from two different angles, because I think there's probably some skepticism this year where Illinois will be, probably some thought that they may take a step back. But overall, you look at that program with Brett Bielema and what he's been able to do and accomplish. They're heading in that great direction, in that right direction. And I think it's a lot with Iowa fans. Iowa fans sometimes get spoiled a little bit when it comes to 8 victories aren't enough, 9 victories aren't enough, and I understand that aspect of it. But Illinois getting to that point where maybe it'll be a down season. What should the expectations be? Should they be expected to get better each and every year? Are they allowed a step backward or a plateau season, if you will? So we talked about that last night on Illini Guys. Really a fun show. I'd encourage everybody to go check it out and listen to it, because it was a bunch of fun. But I figured today I'd take a little bit of time and take you through a little bit of it. Mike was nice enough to send me part of the show. So as my internet messed up before the show, I got to snag it here real quick. Directing on the fly. Here's a little bit from our show last night. Illini Guys, you can check them out on social media, on YouTube. But this is part of where the expectations for Illinois football should be right now. Take a listen.
When it comes to football, I'm actually very nervous about this upcoming season. I actually trust the coaching staff. I think they do a really good job during the season and in game. But I'm really scared, and I don't even care about the changeover in strategy. I just worry that the situation with their personnel in defensive line and potentially linebacker is not good enough from a talent standpoint to support the defense they'll be playing. But then again, I'm not certain that there's enough bodies there to support whatever they do. So I have faith in the coaching staff. I'm just worried that the recruiting and the approach that they took using the NIL money that they spent, I don't know if that strategy works. And it seems like they may be changing up that strategy. And it looks like maybe they're doing less on the high school front and more on the grab guys after a year and keep them at, get them at Illinois, which I don't have a problem with, but that does take a lot of NIL. So when it comes to football expectations, Illinois has stunk until Brett Bielema showed up. As far as I'm concerned, if he can keep them at 6-6 or above and kind of figure out the NIL situation, I'm pretty good with it. But I'm going to let you go first on this, Steve. Then we'll go to Ked. But am I wrong on my expectations for Illini football? Where do you put it, and where do you think we need to be?
Well, we just heard it from the expert, Matt, in that there's a point at which the honeymoon period's over and even sustained success is going to lead to critics. And that's just inevitable. I don't think we're there yet with Illinois. I have a feeling that Illinois fans are going to be a little bit less patient than Iowa fans. So, for instance, when the Illini finish 7-8 wins this year, I'm predicting 7 myself. I think there's going to be, some critics. So Brett would probably has, maybe a couple more years, before we can start talking about real critics. And as far as my expectations for this coming year, like I said, I'm thinking about 7 wins. I said all last summer, that the secret sauce in college football is experience, cohesion, expectations, and understanding, and having guys in the program, and that Illinois had just a barrel fulls of it last year and was gonna be ready for a really, really good year last year, and thankfully that happened. We're going to be lacking in all those areas this year, not just because we lost so many seniors, but also because they decided to change the defensive scheme. Quite a few of the coaches were let go. I'm not against the coaches that were brought in for the most part. That second string of guys that we brought in from Montana that are probably more analyst types, I have questions about those, but the big hires that we had from other schools, including our defensive coordinator, I have no problem with them. But I expect we're going to lose a game this year just because of the lack of cohesion that we've brought on ourselves. So that's just going to happen. Hopefully, we're ready for another big jump, year after this, maybe the year after that. But yeah, expectations wise, I guess this is the year. We'll have to see. We've had 2 10-win seasons in a row. First time that's happened in program's history. I really, really don't think that's going to happen this year. So I guess it's an opportunity to take the pulse of Illinois fandom.
Ked?
Well, you know what? My kids know what I do for a living. And when I told my son a few days ago that Illinois might win 6 or 7 football games, he got mad. And I'm like, dude, well, what are you mad for? I'm like, because they're spoiled. They're spoiled. And I think that's a good thing. I'm going to take a different approach. I will say this. I'm concerned about the defensive side of the ball, number one. But Mike, you talked about it with the Illinois basketball. NIL is a game changer. We talk about it all the time. It is a game changer. The reason why Illinois, you can talk about why didn't they go out and get this kid in the transfer portal. I don't think I'm going to put it out there. The players that return who are really good, they cost a lot of money to keep those players. I'm sorry. You can call those, I'm not going to say names because that's unprofessional, and I won't do that. But if you don't pay those players who are there, who are really, really good right now, the ones that potentially could be really good, they're gone. So the NIL money, it does matter. If you had a budget like Ohio State or Oregon's football, whatever, then it is different. I understand that. I mean, I totally get it. But my expectations to them, if they win 7 games this year, is great to me. I will never forget the days of driving 3 hours to Champaign to watch Iowa beat Illinois 85,000 to -8.
66-0. I think it was 66-0. I think I don't want to be misquoted. Go on.
I'm sorry. I just don't want to see it. And to me, they're competitive. And like right now, they picked up some really good recruits. But guess what? Out of 18 teams in the Big Ten, they're in 17th. You gotta pay players, however how you want to politically correct terminology is. Brett's going to win games. He's going to win games. If he struggles this year, Steve mentioned it. The honeymoon may be over. I guarantee you, if you think he's not going to 8 or 9, 10 games, it's not going to happen. I think the offense Illinois has this year could be outstanding. I think they're putting a lot of emphasis on the offense. So that's my take on it. And this all goes back to NIL again. If you don't put the money up front, you're just screwed. One more comment. Matt made a comment about Iowa. I live in Illinois and work in Iowa, and I hear all these Iowa fans want to get rid of Kurt. And I tell them all the time, be quiet, because you don't know what you're going to get. Because you're going to win 8 or 9, 10 games. You're going to a bowl game every year. Well, we need this. Well, we need that. You're going to be there. This is what these people they don't understand. And you're not going to win every game.
Yep. Matt, just tell them to look to the West. Nebraska was a national power. And then,
according to their fans, they still are a national power, Steve.
Yeah.
I don't know if you got
Them
the
and
memo.
Indiana basketball fans.
I don't know if you got the memo yet, but they're still fans.
So Matt, you like I said, you're kind of in a unique position.
Yeah.
How do you view the expectations, and then we'll kind of morph into a little bit of a mini Iowa discussion.
And it's funny because some of the things Steve is dead on. Like, I don't think while Brett is building something and the foundation is being set, I think it's a really good foundation. It's not ready yet. It's just, and it's more difficult. It's funny because you look back when Kirk, and my God, he's been there forever, and he's one of my favorite human beings in the entire world. So that caveat out there for anybody that's listening. When he was laying the foundation, it wasn't the day and age of college sports that it is now. The patience was much more then than it is now. I don't know if Kirk would have survived. Kirk won 1 game his first season. I think he had 2 victories almost halfway through his second season total, and then got things on track. And you might not even have seen that patience these days. So I definitely think that it's still growing. I think coaching matters, and I love Brett Bielema, but at Iowa, the staff is so set in what they do and how they develop players. And I don't, with the staff uncertainty that there has been at Illinois, once Brett figures that out, I think things will continue to move in a great direction. But you talked like worries on defensive line, worries, certain areas on the football field for Illinois, especially defensively. Flip it to Iowa this year. They have similar issues with the defensive line, and where's that? And it's funny because when Iowa fans get worried or Iowa media talks about it, they simply say, well, Phil Parker will figure it out. And that's about developing
based on history.
And,
yes.
and that's not there yet at Illinois. Brett's there. I think Brett will figure it out eventually, but the developing of players is not just your head coach. And you guys know that. It's not just Brett's job to make sure everything's, you got to figure out your rooms. You got to figure out who's doing what defensively. That's set at Iowa City, and it's been there for decades. So I think that's maybe the cart that's pulling the horse, or the horse that's pulling the cart a little bit, that maybe has to catch up. But like you just said, you look at Illinois football, 6-win season. If they go 6-6, Mike, you've raised the floor of Illinois football. And how many years has Brett been there? That's the goal. First and foremost, yes, you want the ceiling to get as high as can be. And in this day of college football, with maybe 2014 playoff coming up real soon, it could be, you can't, teams like Illinois last year coming in the season should talk about the playoffs. Teams like Iowa should talk about the playoffs every year. That's the expectation. It's your floor is 8 wins. Your ceiling is a playoff. I think in Illinois, it's still, your floor is probably 6 wins. You have that expectation of a playoff, but it's probably not in the cards this year. And that's okay. If you're an Illinois fan, it's okay to have a season in which you reload. I look at Iowa City. I think Iowa's 2 years away from having, 2 seasons away, not this year, but next year, of having maybe a really good opportunity to make the postseason, to make the college football playoffs. But that's the kind of things you have to be able to give yourself the grace to build a little bit at Illinois. And you look at it too. Our good friend Tom Kakert, all of you guys know Tommy. Most of you guys know Tommy. He does his fearless forecast when it comes to Iowa football. He puts it out on the 4th of July. And I just had him on my show the other day, and he said he had Iowa 3 losses. And I'm like, so do you have them losing all 3? Iowa's got a stretch of like Washington, Ohio State, Michigan. I flipped it in order, but it's Michigan, Ohio State, and Washington. And I'm like, do you have them losing all 3 of those? And he's like, no, I got to beat Michigan. I'm like, who do you have them losing to? He goes, going to Illinois in November scares me. That right there shows you where Illinois football's come. Because, Ked, Yeah, exactly. If that does, what was it, Ked? I mean, I know we go back to the 66-0 game all the time, but it wasn't that long ago. You look at the stands, you look at the more people being there. It was a joke. I'm not gonna lie to Illinois fans. It was a joke. I went to that Illinois game and it was half full, and half of the half was Iowa fans. And by the second half, it was nobody there except for a quarter of the stadium full of Iowa fans. That's not going to happen anymore. The huge scoreboard is going to be up and going. So, I think like what you guys are saying, expectations should be higher, but they got to be realistic. In building a football program and giving Brett time, they have to be realistic, because the one thing we haven't talked about is they play the Big Ten, right? Who's the last 3 national champions come from?
Yep, that's right. Big Ten, baby.
It's
3 different teams.
It's hard, and everyone's not Indiana. So if somebody wants to complain about expectations and say, well, Indiana won, well, that's the same thing as saying, well, Dusty May won. Yes, there's going to be outliers of amazing stories and programs being turned around, but for the most part, trust me, Illinois. And I can come from an Iowa perspective and say, Kirk Ferentz, people complain about Kirk all the time, but if you start complaining about a floor being 8 wins, then you're doing pretty good. If you start complaining, Illinois fans, as a floor being 6 wins and maybe not this being the best season in the world, then you really have to look at yourselves, I think, more than you have to look at the university, because things are going in the right direction. Great conversation last night on the Illini Guys. Go check it out on YouTube, on X, anywhere you get your podcasts. Go check that out as well, or go to IlliniGuys.com. A lot of fun talking about expectations for Illinois football, where they should be, kind of comparing a little bit to Iowa and where they are for Iowa. We also talked about Brad Underwood and some basketball stuff as well. Really fun conversation with Steve, Mike, and Ked, myself. So go check that out on all their social medias as well. Always fun to have those guys on this show. So for them to have me come on their show was a bunch of fun. And of course, I know I'm going to get a hard time from Iowa fans for being on an Illinois show. That's okay. It's fine. Relax. Everything's going to be good. So we'll wrap up today's show and look ahead to tomorrow and next week as well. Coming up, you're watching Off the Air on a Thursday right here in the Quad Cities. We'll be right back.
Hello, Dan Pearson here of FCA. Our team is thrilled to support Off the Air with our good friend Matt Randazzo. We share the view of the power of sport when it comes to relationships, including the influence of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
View from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad City's best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Thursday in the Quad Cities. Thursday, July 9th. Thank you guys for joining us on today's show. It's been a bunch of fun. It's been a fun week. So if you missed any of the shows this week, make sure you go back and check them out. As always, we ask if you would please subscribe on YouTube. We appreciate that. Do the same, like, comment, do the same on podcasting platforms and X as well. I'm also on Instagram, Matt Randazzo _ OTA. So go check us out on there as well. Fun show today. We want to thank Madison Hricik and Mark Woodley for joining us to talk about Iowa basketball. Also want to thank D'Anne Kroemer for spending some time going down memory lane as she steps down and retires at Pleasant Valley. 13 years there, 36 overall between Davenport Central, Iowa City High, and of course Pleasant Valley as well. And then also just last segment, want to thank Mike and Ken and Steve again for talking a little Illini last night on their show, and let me snag a clip or two of it today as well. So one more show tomorrow. I do not know what tomorrow holds. We'll figure it out as we get there. Also coming up next week, we still have several big names that we want to get to and talk to next week as well. The week after that, we will be on vacation. I'm going to be traveling with the kids. No show that week. I do want to talk about two things that are coming up. August 9th, Sunday, August 9th, will be our kickoff show with View from the West from the Other Bar in Moline. Excited about that. We'll get you more information on that. But last year, tons of fun. Live show. I bet you we had 60, 70 people there last year. Hopefully we can match that, if not have more this year. Should be a ton of fun. Sunday, August 9th. Also, coming up August 14th is Iowa Football Media Day. We will once again do OTA from Iowa Football Media Day. Really excited about that as well. So a lot of fun things to get to the next couple weeks and months right here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. We greatly appreciate it. I want to thank our sponsors as well for allowing us to do this goofy little show each and every weekday. Again, make sure you subscribe, like, all those fun things, and we'll see you back here again tomorrow right here on OTA. We'll see you then.